Everybody showing love on this day that you dreamed of. Got you smiling from ear to ear. Your day has finally come here. The best is yet to come. We just begun at the reception.
Really wanna be the one you can call on, babe. I swear that I won't let you down. I'll be around. Solemn promise. I'll be the air you breathe, the food you need to make you feel alive. I'll be everything
Views expressed on shows are those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its management, or other advertisers. Use of these shows and all services provided therein are for personal use only. The Elevations Radio Network holds no responsibility for the validity or accuracy of information on these shows.
Hello and welcome to Mind Healing Conversations, a show that will help you heal from the past, deal with life stresses of today, and create balance in your life for tomorrow. I'm your host, Robin Hill, mental health therapist and owner of Robin Hill Counseling Professional Development Services. Thank you for joining me today. And before we get started, check out mindhealingconversations.com, the website for the show. You'll check out when you go on there, the store, which is on the right side of the page. There I have books available for purchase. My book, A Healing Conversations, Beginning Steps for Dealing with the Painful Past. It is a book to help people deal with, approach the counseling process. They might be dealing with painful memories or trauma. It talks about depression, anxiety, and trauma. It also talks about what to look for in the counseling process. It talks about what you may talk to a counselor about, what type of counselor you might be looking for. And it also talks about some coping skills you may want to develop before you even begin talking about your trauma experience. So that is A Healing Conversations, Beginning Steps Towards Dealing with the Painful Past. And then I also have Refresh, a Therapeutic Devotional, which is a book that I wrote, which is a 40-day prayer journal. It teaches you how to utilize scripture and meditation together in a journaling process. I'm actually trying to work spirituality into the mindfulness process to teach people how to use, how to talk with God about their emotions. So that is Refresh, a Therapeutic Devotional, 40-day prayer journal. Both of those books are available for purchase on mindhealingconversations.com. While you're there, you can also pick up There's Healing in the Conversations coffee mug and books from previous guests who've also been on the show in previous episodes. So check out the store there. All purchases help support the show. And also there are links to previous episodes that you can listen to from past shows, from guests, and the events tab, not updated, but you can follow me on social media to find out different events that I have going on. Currently, what I have coming up is my grief workshop, which I'm trying to pull up my flyer real quick, which probably will never happen real quick. But I have a grief workshop coming up in November, which is called Emerge from Unrelenting Grief. And that is to help people who are stuck in their grief process. It is a 2-hour workshop where we're going to go through dealing with coping skills to help you get unstuck, dealing with it from a spiritual as well as mental perspective. And that is in November. Follow me on social media to get information on that flyer and to register. It is a cost to come to that workshop. It's $25. So you do have to register and to attend. So there's a registration on Eventbrite. Maybe follow me on Instagram or Facebook. You can get that contact information. Also subscribe to my newsletter because there will be a blast coming out next week with that information, and there may be a coupon in that blast. So go ahead and follow me on social media, subscribe to my newsletter so you can get that information. Other than that, I think I am done with speaking engagements for the year. So I don't think I have any other event announcements for this year because I'm exhausted. I was doing event after event after event. So I think I'm done with events for the year. So that is for the events for this year. But as far as Coffee Confected Comments, I usually do a Coffee Confected Comments portion of the show where I talk about a certain topic or a mental wellness topic or question may come up that can get submitted through the website. But I didn't prepare one for today. It's just been a very busy week, so I'm just going to stress because I need to stress it for myself. Self-care and taking a break. So as we enter into the holiday season, just make sure that you're taking time for yourself and for your families it is that time of year. Make sure you're planning that time for yourself. Take care of self. And so that is what I am planning for myself. I'm rearranging my schedule. Once again, I'm like, okay, this is not working for me. So my work schedule is about to change. Again, revamping it and revamping so that I can take care of home. And thinking about some fun activities for my kids. We have an unknown caller. Let me just answer this because it's probably just someone who wants to listen to the show. Hold on one second. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Okay. They probably were just calling to listen to the show. So that is my plan, to revamp my schedule. And that's something that we must always do. If you feel yourself hitting a wall, sometimes you have to look back and see what all you have going on and change your schedule around. Make sure you're taking time for yourself because you cannot pour from an empty cup. I keep hearing the phrase, you give from your overflow, not from what's inside of you. So you have to make sure you're full, and whatever's overflowing, that's what you're supposed to give from. So I'm just giving that back out to you. So that's all for the coffee, confections, and comments portion of the show. If you have any questions or comments from about a previous show, or you have a question about a mental health topic, you can submit that through the Mind Healing Conversations page. There's a Q&A form. You can submit that, and that can become the topic of the coffee, confections, and comments portion of the show. So now we're going to move on into our discussion for today. And we have our guests in studio, and I'm excited because these are my favorite from my favorite church in Cleveland, though I hide because I'm a loner, but they are my favorite church in Cleveland, Ohio. And so I'm going to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. I have Pastor Shawn Braxton, and I don't know if you have a title, Michael Fisher.
That's good.
That's good enough. That's good. No minister,
work.
Deacon, no nothing.
It's minister, but
Minister,
Michael,
okay.
servant.
Minister Michael Fisher in studio with me, and I want you to give an opportunity to talk about who you are and talk about your church, and then we'll get into what brings you all, what the play and everything that we're talking about. Talk about yourself for a minute. So first you, and then you.
Okay. First and foremost, I want to thank you, Robin, for allowing us to come on your show today. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be here. I am Shawn Braxton. I am the very proud pastor of New Life Cathedral, where I've had the great privilege of serving for about 8 years now. And, one of the things that I have always desired to do, and being the pastor of New Life Cathedral, is for our church to be the church that I would want to attend. So we have given our best effort in trying to make that happen, where we are a place of love, where you can truly feel the love of Jesus from the parking lot all the way to the pulpit, from the pew all the way to the time that you leave the door. So that is the environment that we have desired to create. And I believe that we, as a New Life family, have done our due diligence to become that. So Thank you.
Wonderful. And Minister Fisher.
And thank you so very much, Robin, for the very gracious invitation, your hospitality here that you've provided, even that of your father. God bless you. Thank you for having us on and giving us the opportunity to share. Again, my name is Michael Fisher, minister at New Life Cathedral, under the pastoralship of Senior Pastor Shawn Braxton and his wife, Executive Pastor Stacy Braxton. And what the pastor was just explaining about New Life Cathedral, about feeling the love from the parking lot all the way through your entire experience there, I went to visit one time only, and I never left. I kind of stuck. The environment there is, it's a place for you, Robin. It's a place for anybody. If you want to progress in Christ, New Life Cathedral is a place, a progressive ministry that it is expansive. The vision of the house is expansive, and there are rooms for so many people there, including a theater ministry, which I have been very, very grateful to be able to serve in a capacity there, working with the drama ministry. And you've given us the opportunity to introduce this wonderful production called Take Me to the King that will be performing on December 1, 2, 8, and 9 at 7 p.m. nightly at New Life Cathedral. And it's a show that you will not want to miss.
Okay.
Amen.
Wonderful. And I want to, before we get into our discussions, let everyone know that the phone lines are open. And because I will get to talking and totally forget to say that the phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. The number is 440-252-0518. And I'm typing as I'm talking, so that everyone in the Facebook room can see that the phone lines are open. Thank you all for joining us. I see several people. There are several people who are in there already and giving shout outs. Hi, Simone. Hi, Alicia, Gerald, Sonia, Tim. Gerald saying great topic already. And Being Roofing, thank you for joining. And hopefully you all join the conversation. Give us a call. Give us a shout out if you have any questions about what we're talking about, because this is a very interesting topic that you've chosen to write about when it comes to this place. Because it really does delve into a lot of the mental health issues. What inspired you to write? First of all, I didn't know you wrote plays, Pastor, but where did the inspiration come from to write a play?
Well, call Michael my ghostwriter. No, in all seriousness, one of the things that I have always desired, especially around the Christmas season, because there's so many things that occur in our lives, that for many people, the holiday season is not a time of joy. It is a time where they reflect on personal pain and tragedy that they may have experienced, whether that be Thanksgiving or even Christmas. So when Michael joined the church, I really, especially from the standpoint that I had seen some of his previous work, I said, why couldn't we do something like that at New Life Cathedral? And the very first play that we did was God's Good and Perfect Gift. That was a play that was a play that Michael wrote that was an original. And
I'm sorry, we have a caller already. Hold on 1 second. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Cleveland, Ohio.
Hello, caller. Do you have a question for Pastor and Minister Fisher?
I do. First of all, I want to thank you for writing a play about issues of mental health, and that you did it around the holiday season. I know that in the African American community, and I am African American, I need to state that just because vocally I may not sound that way. We don't talk about mental health in our community, and we utilize pastors for our mental health conditions. And sometimes they're perceived as a issue of faith and lack of belief, when there could be some serious compound grief or depression or other serious mental health issues. So I just want to say thank you for addressing this, and also being an African American male talking about this. One of the things I wanted to ask you specifically is, how do you refer your congregants or work with other pastors in your community to encourage them to have their congregants seek mental health outside of the spiritual realm?
That is a great question. And one of the things very early on in pastoring that I became very aware of is, even though you may take a class or two from a pastoral counseling perspective, but the thing that I emphasized to our church family was that I am not a counselor, and nor do I play one on television. So one of the things that we began to do is we began to seek out someone and an organization that could really begin to, one, identify with some of the needs and some of the issues that our congregants were dealing with, and to align ourselves with that organization. And fortunately, the Lord blessed us to meet this wonderful and amazing lady named Robin Hill. So one of the things that we did very early on is, when there were issues that were truly above my pay grade, And when I mean my pay grade, I'm talking about that superseded the biblical advice that I could provide, and I saw that there may have been issues that were of a mental health variety. I began, and our team began to refer those out. And that's one of the things that I've also stressed. I was at one time the president of the pastoral organization, and I talked to fellow pastors and said to them, we need to stop dealing with mental health issues internally and begin to align our ministries up with folks that had that training, that really that is their gifting. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much. That was a great question.
Mm-hmm. And I'll add, it's not, because she brings up a good point, because not all pastors do appreciate and value that. It's an organization of us in our area. We formed an organization, and I can't remember the name of our organization right now. That's part of that wall that I hit, my exhaustion. Professional Black Christian Therapists Network. We formed a network because either people were looking for a Black therapist or they were looking for a Christian therapist. So so that we can keep the referrals within us. Maybe there's a person that I can't help that you may refer, but I have a therapist who can help them. And part of our mission is to try to go within the churches and help teach the churches what we can do for them, because there are a lot of pastors who do want to try to carry that load all by themselves. And that is a heavy load. I mean, you guys have the deacons board and the ministers board and the sick and the shut in and all. They don't realize you don't have to carry all of that and the mental health issues too. We can take that piece from you.
But let me add to what you're just saying, Robin. Mm-hmm. One of the reasons why pastoral burnout is real. And there's so many pastors that are experiencing burnout. There's so many pastors that are giving up. Their marriages are challenged. Their children are being lost as well. Families are being broken up because of that pastoral load. Mm-hmm. So we have to utilize wisdom and begin to say, this is not what God has gifted me in. Mm-hmm. God didn't gift me to be a mental health therapist or someone that has that mental health background. Mm-hmm. I give biblical advice based on my understanding of Scripture and how I have understood the doctrine that has been given to me. And that's where I stop.
So how did you work that into your storyline? How did that become a character in this play?
So going back to how we got or arrived at the play is, once again, I was looking at all of the things that we dealt with from a pastoral standpoint, issues that we were facing, the past that many of us had not been able to deal with. And it was maybe a couple weeks before Thanksgiving, and I called Michael to my office, and I was all excited. I was like, Michael, we have to do this play. After you did God's good and perfect gift, God has just given me this vision for this play called Take Me to the King. And I just began to go on. And it also deals with the misunderstanding of the holiday season. Mm-hmm. It's not about the gifts that we're going to receive. It's not about how many presents we're going to get. But it's about the essence of understanding that Jesus is that real reason for the season. Mm-hmm. And after talking to him, he was able to put to pen what I described to him. And he did it so amazingly. 2 years ago was the first year that we did Take Me to the King. And this year we have actually, the first scene was rewritten to deal with some of the issues that we face today. And it's exciting to now see how we're bringing to the stage something that was given to my heart, that God allowed him to scribe and to put to paper this amazing vision and to bring to life the holiday season and the essence of dealing with all of those issues that we face around the holiday season.
So, Michael, what are some of the issues that you put into this character?
Well, and I think the pastor described it very, very well, that people are complex. Mm-hmm. They're not surface, they're not one layer, they are multi-layered. And there's so many people making so many decisions. So what do you do, Robin, when your back's against the wall? What do you do when your husband has made a decision to return to a lifestyle that would only cause his death, that leaves you and your child destitute? only forced to live in a homeless shelter. It's real. It sounds like a storyline, but it happens every day.
Every day.
Every day. And so what do you do when your back is still against the wall and you can't get a job because of your past record? What do you do? What do you do when the pressure mounts? What do you do? And just as sure as God has a plan, the enemy has one too. And he is active and sure about fulfilling his plan to detour you from your Jeremiah 29:11 moment. The plan that God has for you. The plan, how's it go? Pastor, help me out here on this one.
Plans to give you, to prosper you,
to give you
an expected end, and not to harm you or to hurt you in any way.
Exactly. And as God presents his plan, the enemy is there to present his as well. And we have a couple of characters in the play, Rachel and Isaiah, Mother Rachel, son named Isaiah, who would certainly benefit from your grief session that's coming up in November.
Right.
Because they are struggling with not only the loss of their husband, father, but with identity, self-identity. Who am I? Why has God created me? Why am I here? And what am I supposed to do with it?
Right.
I need some help. And they're asking for help. But God has a plan.
And that's the key. And we have wonderful comments in the chat room. And I see you. I don't want you to think I don't see you, Reginald and Rochelle. I see your comments, and I'm going to weave them into this discussion. But I want to make sure that I respond to what you're saying, because integrating faith into your healing process is very key. I think that we don't realize, because it's been so separated for so long. Either you go to get your Jesus or you go get your mental health. For so long it's been separated, but it is key in healing that we're a whole person, that we address ourselves holistically. And we're seeing the physical and mental health being paired up very well, but we don't see a lot. Well, we are starting to see it more, but it's very new to see pairing up the mental health with the spiritual. And so the reason I wanted to have this discussion is to emphasize that it is a key thing to do, to be able to be free to say, I need to tap into my faith. And I know that we may not have all Christians watching or listening, but that is a very valid course of part of your treatment, is to integrate faith into your treatment process.
Right, and I think that's very key what you said. And I'm just going to lift the veil on a little part of the play. Rachel begins to reflect on her mother, who was in the church, and how her mother ran the church with an iron fist and a Bible in one hand. And as she crammed the word of God down her daughter's throat, who needed her at a very crucial time, she was put out of her house, put out of the mother's house, out of the mother's care. So it's really interesting how sometimes people can wield the word of God as a sword only to do harm, instead of edifying and building up, and even lending the wisdom to direct them to somebody who can help.
There's a difference between using spirituality to avoid your issues and to cope and to use it to heal. There's a difference, and you'll see that in people. Some people are using spirituality to avoid. You see some people, and I was at a conference recently, and one of my pastor friends, she said, there's a difference between praise and pain. And some people are praising, they're shouting and screaming, but they're really in their pain.
That's right.
They're trying to avoid their pain, and they're not really praising in freedom. It's their pain that they're screaming out of.
Yeah, it's amazing that you bring that up. The message today was a portrait of a real Christian. And one of the things that I talked about is many of us, because of the hurts and some of the baggage that we carry into our lives, is we return back to the fallen place. That place where we fell out of relationship with God.
Yeah.
And rather than coming into an authentic relationship with God, we go back to putting fig leaves on us to cover up.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So.
Right. And And so sometimes when we're hurting, we got to find a scripture. We got to find something to cover it back up. We got to find something to make ourselves feel better. But it's not necessarily tapping into that relationship, that place of peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have, I want to make sure. Now, people are commenting, but you sure can call in. Reginald, I really would like for you to call in because you got a lot of comments and I think you need to talk. So the number is 440-252-0518. I just reopened your past. Yeah, you need to call in, Reginald. 440-252-0518. And hey, Janine, how you doing? Daddy Janine on the thing. Hey, Billy. Billy's watching. We got quite a large audience in here. Thank you guys for tuning in. And Rochelle says it's called Clinical Pastors of Chaplaincy. Okay. Caller. Hi, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Rochelle Abucci, and I've been listening to you on Facebook Live, and I just needed to I wanted to just state this about Rachel's mom. I think it's important that, especially when you're dealing with grief and ideas about why bad things happen, that I'm just going to say this from personal experience. When I suffered a traumatic loss, what I found is people could not differentiate between my physical pain of losing my children and the spiritual ideology of me knowing that they were in a better place. And so what I would get from well-meaning people is that, they would think it was a crisis of faith when I would question, and you would get a biblical answer, but it was really about the real life issue of dealing with grief. And sometimes what looks like a crisis of faith to a pastor is actually a normal grieving process to a clinician. And so I think that sometimes we do more damage, especially in the Black community, when people are going through a tough time, regardless of what it is, by spiritualizing something that is a natural human process of coping with trauma or grief.
Pastor, did you want to address that first?
I just wanted to say that's good. And I have to just say there have been moments in which even, people we put pastors on this pedestal and think that they have all of the answers. There have been moments when I have been in that room when a family member is being taken off life support and you don't know what to say. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just have to be still.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And allow God to be God. And sometimes people just need that hug to know that you're there. And just be able to say, I don't know what to say, and be honest.
Hold on one second. Did I just drop the first call? Is this caller number 2?
Hello?
Okay, hold on one second. I think I might have dropped Rochelle. I'm sorry, Rochelle, if I dropped you, but we're still going to answer your call. But I'm going to put you on hold, caller number 2. I'm sorry. Yeah. But continue to talk about the grief.
To be honest and say, I don't know what to say.
Right.
But I am here, and we're going to be here with you. I will never forget to have to tell someone, we are going to be here with you every step of the way.
Right.
We don't know what tomorrow holds, but we're not going to leave your sides. We are your family.
I wanted to speak to Rochelle's comment as well, because one of the best classes I took, because I went to seminary for my pastoral counseling, and one of the best classes I took was theology of suffering. That was like one of my favoriteest classes I had to take, and because it taught me about suffering from a theological standpoint, and it is a reality in our world. And we had to study the book of Job. One, we had to read C.S. Lewis's A Grief Observed, and we had to study the book of Job, and just watch Job call out God and have all kinds of fits and upset, and God was not upset with him. You know, he let him question. He let him ask every question. He let him say what he had to say. His friends tried to tell him, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Try to give him all kinds of biblical answers. And because of his friends' ungodly counsel, their blessings got upheld until Job interceded on their behalf. God said he did nothing wrong. Now, he did have a conversation with him. That conversation wasn't a punishment. That was the growth in that relationship. Job was hurt. He was mad at God. He was confused. Why'd you take all this from me? Him and God had to have a conversation. God said, okay, I get it. Brace yourself like a man. Now answer me these questions. They had words. And when they got done with their words, God blessed them back, healed him. And then he told his friends, now for the foolish stuff that y'all said, once Job prays on your behalf, then you can be blessed. Because they said foolish things. So that's the book that we have to go to when we look at suffering and understanding that people can grieve and people can be upset in their grief. They're allowed that.
That's right.
Okay, we have is this Reginald on the line?
Hello?
Hello, is this Reginald?
Hello?
Hello, caller. Who do we have on the line? Can you hear?
This is Reginald Russell.
Hi, Reginald Russell.
I can hear you.
Okay, so
Hi.
Hi. Now you've been in the chat room talking and sharing about your mom, and I'm thinking we kind of opened up the wounds for you.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
I grew up. My mom lost a child between me and my older brother, and she was mentally ill. And so I grew up from a baby watching my mother with mental illness. And watching her in that hospital at Fairhill and taking electric shock treatments, you know, that kind of opened up my wounds. And then you got to talking about the church, which my mother was deep in the church. I tell people we went to church 8 nights a week, and there ain't no 8 nights a week. And so you just took a flashback to me.
Okay. And so growing up dealing with her mental illness, is it still affecting you? Are you still have you
It affects me. It affects me because, you know, watching my friends and family members talk about my mom as a kid, that's a hurting feeling.
It is.
You know, they were saying all kind of bad things in front of me as a kid, some adults. And then I was saying to myself as a kid, don't they see me sitting right here? You know, and so, yeah, it bothered me.
And Reginald, I can relate to those moments where we as children have to endure the bad decisions of adults having inappropriate conversations around children. And that's something that many of us carry through our lives. And so, you know, I can truly relate to what you're saying. But I'm sure that Robin definitely has some words to share with you relative to moving beyond where you are right now.
I mean, and that in itself, and I'm not sure, you know, where you are in your process, but that in itself does require its own healing. It requires its own counseling. When you grow up with someone and their issue, you wind up becoming the parent at a young age. You parent the parent. So you have to, you know, you're still having to heal from those experiences and having to, you know, there's memories there. There's some things that the traumatic past that you have to heal from, and learning to accept.
There's a lot of memories there because it's like you just said, I had to become an adult before I became a kid. Okay, I had to overlook my mom and do things for my mom, and when the illness would come on, she would threaten me to not call nobody. And I would sit there in that chair a lot of times and debate. Now, my older brother, he would run out. It didn't bother him. But I know that she needed help. And so it was between me getting up calling somebody for help or sitting there taking the punishment. So I had to become an adult before I was a kid. And then my mom had 2 other siblings behind that. So I had to really protect them, too. So, yeah, it scarred me. And my mom is deceased now, but when I heard this conversation, I'm listening. I'm like, whoa, it's like kind of slapped me in the face a little bit.
Okay, we have caller number 2 for the 216 area code. Did you have something to add to this conversation?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I wanted to tell you, I'm sorry. I have to tell you, Robin, you guys are doing an amazing job. I kind of wandered on this on Facebook. I pulled my car over and I was just checking some stuff. And I need to just tell you that this is actually triggering a lot of positive responses. I just heard Reginald talk about his mother losing a child. And I didn't want to talk I wanted to talk in generality about my experience when I called the first time. But I'm going to say this. I'm a mom who lost 3 kids in a house fire. We're friends on Facebook, and some people know my story. I lost my 3 kids 10 years ago, and it changed my life. I grew up in a house where my dad's a Baptist minister. I had a good understanding of theology. I'm a clinical pastor now. It changed my profession. And what I realized during this time is that it is a clinical manifestation when you lose someone traumatically. And so there's 3 things going on. There's the spiritual, there's the psychological, and then there's the physiological. When a mom loses a child, it is one of the most unnatural things. We expect possibly we may lose a spouse or a parent. But to bury your children is unnatural. And what happens is mental illness, or what might have been perceived as mental illness, it's called post-traumatic stress. Something traumatic happened. And when that happens and it's left untreated, what can happen is you can get secondary mental illness like depression or compound grief. And if you're dealing in elements of African-American communities, we're already at risk for trauma. That's right. So that's another level of trauma. And so what was important to understand about this is a lot of times there's stigma around seeking help outside of the church. That's right. So one of the things that I just want to state is everyone has asked, how is it that you're still here in your right mind? And I got to say this, before I had any more children, I checked myself into a therapist. I checked myself into a therapist, not a hospital, a therapist, a person who I could have conversations about without judgment. 2, I knew the theology about death and dying according to my faith. So when people brought crazy notions that contradicted the theology that I knew how to respond. But most importantly is if there's not a way to respond in that way, that's normal. Nothing in that situation is normal. And so what I found is that there was a lack of grace for people dealing with you, not necessarily you dealing with the situation, because we live in a society that says everyone should be happy. There's a certain time for grief. Aren't you over that yet? And so what happens is you start making other people feel uncomfortable with death and dying, because what they're really dealing with is their own mortality and their own mental awareness if they were in the situation. And so it's really important that as we're looking at this as clinicians, I have a specialty because I've been on that side, is that we always have to say, what I may think I would do is probably not what I would do in that situation if I'm presented with it. So I have to give that person who's actually going through it the grace that they need to deal with it and support them in the process.
Okay, we have one more caller on the line, and then we're going to go to our break because we have to premiere a musician. So, third caller, we want to give a brief comment. Is the third caller still there? 216 area code, I think.
Yeah, talking about me.
Hello, is there a third caller on the line?
Hello?
I know there's Reginald on the line that's still on there, and then there should be another caller on the line.
Well, only thing that I want to say before I hang up is back in the 60s when all this was happening, they didn't have all the stuff that they have now for mentally ill patients. Like I said before, I witnessed my mom in a padded room over at Fair Hill Hospital where she was taking electric shock treatments. And I think they outlawed that now. But that's a scar that I think I would never forget.
Actually, they have not outlawed the electric shock. They still do electric shock at Cleveland Clinic.
Oh, is there? I thought they outlawed it, so I didn't know. Okay, well, I just thank you again, okay?
You're welcome. Thank you for calling. Thank you for sharing. And if you... Hello, third caller? Yes. Hello? What's your name? Hello, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Billy.
Billy?
This is Billy from Cleveland, Ohio.
Hey, Billy, how you doing?
Okay. I couldn't help but I wanted to say I lost my mother back when I was 20 years old, and that was like I was devastated. And what I found out since I've been in recovery and since I've been on the clinical side, that I didn't grieve properly, and I was suffering from depression, and I turned to alcohol and drugs to treat my uncomfortability. And I was so on the spiritual side, I was connected spiritually, but I was mad with God. But what I understand is when I came out of my comfort zone and acknowledged my mother's death and grieved, that's when I was able to connect back with the spiritual part of being back with God and being blessed, because then I was able to put the drugs and the alcohol down. And it was like 20 years later that I actually sat in the room and cried about the death of my mother and really grieved.
It opened up,
and that's when the freedom came for me.
Yes, that's a key there, and we're gonna talk more about that when we get back from the break, about how that opens up the blockage. That whole, in opening up the spiritual, opens up the blockage for the healing process. And I think that's the purpose of going to the King. That's the purpose of the play. But thank you for calling in, Billy. We're going to take a quick break because we're going to premiere now one of our artists on elevationsradio.com. We have Will Glover. He has a single called Truth that we're going to... Thank you for calling. We're going to premiere Truth. He has a gospel R&B sound, and this is his single Truth here on elevationsradio.com.
This is probably what you think. When you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, this is probably what you think.
This pain I feel in my chest, cause of stupid me. I must confess, I ruined everything. Hopes in my dreams, future and things I never thought I end up like this. I open my mouth all that comes out is I'm sorry and I'm lost. Lost in the dark so the world can hear me shout that I don't wanna live like this, 'cause my heart's broken. Make me whole again. Truth is that I don't wanna live like this, 'cause my life's broken. Make me whole again. Beautiful day, I wear a smile, mask all that pain, they'll never figure out. Encourage my friends, I try to help them out, but when I close that door, I just break. Ask me how I'm doing, I probably say Gucci. While I say Gucci, I really mean low, like dead or worse. 'Cause I'm alive, but I still ain't living. Work so hard, but I still be feeling. Hurt so bad, I just want to please God. The truth is that I don't wanna live like this. I don't wanna live heartbroken. Yeah, make me whole. Can I tell you? Yeah, can I tell the truth? It's that I don't wanna live like this. Life's broken. Make me whole again. Yeah, break it down like as much as I try to ignore it, I know you never left to myself. Yeah, yeah. The only way to end this hard show. Yeah, yeah. It is through Christ all things are possible. Please, I'll do anything. I'll do anything just to be in your way. Yeah. I don't wanna live like this, 'cause my heart is broken. Make me whole again. No. I don't wanna live like this. No. Please, make me whole, make me whole again. Ooh.
All right, welcome back to Mind Healing Conversations. I'm your host, Robin Hill. You're listening on Elevations Radio, on elevationsradio.com. Do me a favor, we get back into our discussion. Check out mindhealingconversations.com and check out the store. We are dealing with a very deep discussion here. And on mindhealingconversations.com, there is a video on the page. Check out the video. It's a activity on there called Returning What Was Stolen. And it teaches you how to walk through an exercise to deal with a traumatic past or traumatic memory or an abuse situation. And that is a good exercise to do in order to deal with some stuff that may be conjured up during this conversation. So check that video out, which when you go on the website, turn off the radio station player, because Elevations Radio is 24/7. So there's a radio station player that you can hit pause on that and hit play on the video, which I have recorded there. It's a YouTube video, and walk through that exercise to help you kind of put yourself back together again if some things are being brought up. I see a lot of emotions are coming out in this discussion today, so I want to make sure that we don't leave anyone's wounds wide open in our discussion. So also, while you're on the page, check out the store. There's a book, A Healing Conversation, Beginning Steps Towards Dealing with the Painful Past. You also might want to check that book out, so you can look at what are we dealing with all these emotions. There's depression, anxiety, and trauma, and that book discusses those things. And also discusses a little bit about spirituality, the spiritual, the mental, and the physical. And for those that do want to tap into that spiritual center, there is Refresh, a therapeutic devotional. That book is available for purchase as well. It teaches you how to talk to God about your emotions. It's very key when we are talking, when we're dealing with our healing, to learn how to talk to God or tap into our spiritual center to get our healing. It needs to be a holistic healing. We can't ignore, when we say the three are one, the mind, body, and spirit, and then we're trying to heal, we cannot ignore a whole third of ourselves when trying to bring healing to ourselves. So before we went to break, and I have here with me Pastor Shawn Braxton and Minister Michael Fisher, the writers of this awesome play, Take Me to the King, which we're going to talk in these last 9 minutes about, talking about integrating spirituality into that healing process, and why it is important to be able to tap into that spirit center and open up that piece in that healing process, and why that third part of you is important in that healing. So why Take Me to the King? What I know you said the holiday season is usually a time of sadness, and it is. It's a time of people reflecting on loss. There's this high expectation for this time of jolly, this time of family, and a lot of people don't have what this high expectation is, and it becomes a time of sadness and grief and reflecting on losses and reflecting on pain. So what does Take Me to the King really mean, and reflect? What does that mean?
So I can say what Take Me to the King represented for me when we first did the play, and even now as we do the remake of Take Me to the King. It represents identifying that issue in your life. Mm-hmm. A lot of times it becomes a blind spot to us, that thing that we're dealing with. And really having people in your life that will help you to make it through that storm. Mm-hmm. Gloria, who is one of the characters in the play, one of the lines that she just touts throughout the play is God has a plan. Mm-hmm. And so as she is sharing this with Rachel throughout, it is bringing her back to a place of being centered. Even though she's dealing with this personal tragedy, even though she's dealing with the fact of now I have to raise my son by myself, in which many African American women have to deal with in the African American community, of raising their child mm-hmm. by themselves. It takes her back to a center. Mm-hmm. And it helps her to focus on her faith, even though there was a place and time in her life that her faith abused her. But helping her to realize that Romans 8:28 reminds us and tells us that all things mm-hmm. work together for the good of them that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So, yeah, Rachel had a purpose. Mm-hmm. Isaiah had a purpose. And Gloria helps to bring her back to that center to help her understand that God has a plan.
Okay. And I certainly appreciate that, Pastor Braxton, because another theme that is consistent throughout the play is options. Mm-hmm. Once it's identified to you, once it's put in front of your face in black and white, you have an option. Mm-hmm. Choose life or death. It's your choice. So the whole play pretty much centers on options and how one option that one person makes can even affect your life, mm-hmm. and the domino effect that continues throughout the play. But again, God has a plan, and it will work out with your trust in him.
Wow. So how do people, first of all, how do they get information about the play? How do they get tickets? Where, when is the play?
Well, certainly. Take Me to the King. The performances are on Friday, December 1st, Saturday, December 2nd. Then the following weekend, Friday, December 8th, and Saturday, December 9th, 7 p.m. nightly.
And one thing I just want to add in relation to the play, relative to it being held at New Life Cathedral, we transformed the sanctuary into a theater.
Oh, wow. So
a stage will be erected, and then we bring in our theater lighting, and we transform New Life Cathedral into a theater. So you will be walking into a theater for those 2 weeks of the show.
Wow. So, and the tickets are how much?
The tickets are $15 in advance and $20 at the door. And if anyone is in need of tickets, they're welcome to call me at 216-203-4858. Or they may dial the church at 216-851-2777.
Okay, so you can't go online and buy them?
You definitely can.
Okay.
What we can do, if you reach out to us at newlifecathedral.com, that's newlifecathedral.com, we'll have information on our webpage, but you can also go to the Facebook page at New Life Cathedral and also be able to access information for purchasing it online. We also have a New Life Cathedral app. If you go to the Google Play or to the iTunes store, you can download New Life Cathedral Cleveland and download the New Life app. And within our PushPay area, you can purchase tickets through PushPay as well.
Okay. Wow. You got an app?
Yes.
So what else is on the app?
So the app, you can send your prayer request in. So if you have a prayer request and you want us to specifically pray for you, you can send your prayer requests in through the app. And pretty soon, all of our audio and video messages will be there. So our daily or our weekly messages will be there for anytime, anywhere consumption. Okay.
Because, I've been trying to get y'all weekly messages on elevationsradio.com.
We
on Sunday morning.
We have to make that happen.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. That would be an awesome thing to get you guys broadcasting here on the radio, because I do believe we have Germany tuned in today.
Well, we have to make that happen.
Yeah. So, speaking of New Life Cathedral, how do people, when are your services and
so
where are you located and all of that?
So we're located at 16200 Euclid Avenue. That's on the corner of Neela and Euclid, 1 block east of Noble Road. Our service time is on Sunday morning. We have our Sunday school class, which starts at 10 o'clock. And one of the things that makes the Sunday school class unique, we have a men's Sunday school class where brothers can get together and talk about stuff that's specific to us. And we have a women's Sunday school class. And we have 2 sections for our women's Sunday school class. Some for the more traditional Sunday school individuals that are used to this traditional Sunday school class, but we also have one that are called our divas, divinely inspired, virtuous, anointed sisters that get together on Sunday morning, and they do Sunday school as well. But our service time, we start service at 11:30 Sunday morning, and then the other time that we can all get together is on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock for our Bible study. And we don't have a traditional Bible study. It is more so of a conversation versus someone getting up and talking at you.
So, and this is, and I want to just say that church is very pro you getting better, and I don't, you're not saying it to say like, well, I am, because not all some churches are very doctrine based, and I really like when I find people who are focused on helping people grow, helping people get better. You're not just about the numbers, and so you're looking for a place that you want to go and you want to get better, you want to grow, and they're there to make sure that you're healthy. That's a wonderful place to go. And they have this wonderful production, Take Me to the King, written by Pastor Shawn Braxton and Minister Michael D. Fisher. You can put your minister on the flyer. God's Got a Plan. And again, showtime's Friday, December 1st through Saturday. Well, there's Friday and Saturdays. The weekend of Friday, Saturday, December 1st and December 2nd, and Friday, December 8th, December 9th. Make sure you get your tickets. In advance, $15, $20 at the door. This is at New Life Cathedral. Michael Fisher, Minister Michael Fisher, is your man to see. 216-203-4858 or 216-851-2777. I got to make sure I'm there. I got to put it on the calendar because I'll forget. But I have a new show. I'll have to be on a Saturday because we have a new show on Fridays. So Oh, I got tickets?
Well, here's the thing. So you don't have to buy the tickets. We want to bless you with 4 tickets for you and your family to come out to see Take Me to the King.
So, okay, I got tickets, y'all. So y'all got to get yours. I got my tickets. Y'all get yours. Make sure you get your tickets. Make sure you get your tickets. Kimberly Johnson and Buddy Love just tuned in. Make sure y'all get y'all tickets. I got mine. Janine Hughes is in the place, so I know she don't got to get no tickets. So, got my tickets. All right, make sure you're there. I don't have my quote for the evening because usually I come up with one, but I'm overwhelmed. The conversation was deep and heavy. All I can say is let's get you better. That's my quote. That's a Robin Hill quote. Let's get you better. Check out mindhealingconversations.com and connect with me if you need some further help. We got his last closing song from Will Glover, his song You. That is Will Glover's You. That's not it.
I know I be wrong, yeah, I know I be wrong, but I know behind my arm, I'm so longing for you. I thought I was strong, yeah, I thought I was strong, but on my knees, I'm praying, I'm looking for you. So tired of faking, like I really don't care, like I get really scared, like I got no fears, like I'm not affected, despite all these rings, I feel like I'm dead. Looking up in the middle of a full earthquake right now, as the world shatters, I realize all that matters is you. Surrender my heart to you, my heart to you. Leave me, I will follow past you. Cause I can't live without you, it's true. I can't live without you, and no one else can help me sad. You are my hope and my peace, and you never count on my flaws. You are the truth I believe in, ripping our muffins apart is you. Yeah, cause I can't live without you, it's true. And no one else can help me sad. Your love is destroying my soul. I'm talking my wilderness emotion. I'm talking the waves of the ocean. Don't like these hooks, but I want down. But your love is worth more than